You already know they're tracking your data. Your searches, your location, your purchases, the 3 extra seconds you spent looking at that ad before scrolling past it. That story is old news. You've made peace with it, or at least you've stopped noticing. But what if that was never really the point? What if data collection was just the visible layer, the part they let you see so you'd stop looking for the part underneath? Because the deeper you dig into how these systems actually work, the less this looks like a story about information. It starts to look like a story about behavior, not what you did, what you're about to do. Let's start with something simple. A prediction. In 2017, a leaked internal document from a major tech platform described something remarkable to advertisers. The ability to detect, in real time, when a teenage user was feeling insecure, anxious, or worthless. Not through what they typed, through patterns, how fast they scrolled, what they lingered on, when they deleted a photo after posting it. The platform denied using this for ad targeting. But the fact that the capability existed, that it had been built and demonstrated, tells you something important. These systems were never just recording what happened. They were modeling what happens next. That's the shift nobody talks about. Data collection is passive. It's a mirror. But prediction is active. Prediction is a lever. And once you can predict a person's next move with enough accuracy, you don't need to force them to do anything. You just need to nudge. A slightly different color on a button. A notification at exactly the right moment of loneliness. A feed that surfaces the one video guaranteed to keep you watching 6 more minutes. None of this requires reading your mind. It requires something almost more unsettling. It requires understanding you better than you understand yourself, in the narrow, specific sense of knowing what makes you click, stay, buy, believe. Think about how this actually gets built. Every platform runs thousands of tiny experiments on you, constantly, without your knowledge or consent in any meaningful sense. A/B tests, multivariate tests, different headlines shown to different slices of the population, measured down to fractions of a percent. You are, quite literally, a data point in someone else's ongoing experiment about human psychology. Not once, every day, across every app on your phone. And here's where it gets stranger. These systems don't just learn about you individually, they learn about people like you. Your patterns get folded into models trained on millions of other people who share your age, your location, your late-night scrolling habits, your political leanings, your spending patterns. The system isn't just tracking person A. It's building a kind of statistical ghost, a synthetic version of you, assembled from everyone who resembles you, that can be tested and refined and deployed even before you've made a choice yourself. This is the part that should give you pause, because if a model can predict your behavior with enough confidence, the distinction between predicting and producing starts to blur. If a platform shows you content specifically engineered to trigger an emotional response, because the model knows that response keeps you engaged, is it still observing your behavior? Or is it manufacturing it? Researchers have a term for this, the attention economy. But that phrase is almost too polite. It suggests a marketplace, a fair exchange, your attention traded for a free service. What it actually describes is closer to an extraction economy, one where the raw material being mined isn't your data at all. It's your decision-making, your default settings as a human being, your tendency to trust what's in front of you, to seek approval, to fear missing out, to want to finish what you started. Now, widen the lens. This isn't just happening on social media. It's happening in the systems that decide what insurance premium you're quoted, what job listings you see, what interest rate you qualify for, what news stories reach you before an election. Each of these systems runs on the same underlying architecture. Collect behavior, build a model, predict the next action, nudge toward the outcome that benefits the platform. The specific data point is almost irrelevant. What matters is the behavioral fingerprint it feeds into. And this is where the tracking stops being about your data and starts being about your agency. Because agency depends on a kind of unpredictability, the ability to surprise yourself, to change your mind for reasons nobody could have modeled in advance. Every system built to predict you with greater precision is, by definition, a system built to shrink that unpredictability, not through force, through friction, or the removal of it. Frictionless is the word they use. It sounds like a gift, convenience with no cost. But every time a choice becomes frictionless, it also becomes a little less like a choice, and a little more like a groove you've been guided into. This is not a conspiracy theory. It's the business model, stated plainly, in investor filings and engineering blog posts, if you know where to look. Engagement is the metric. Prediction is the method. And the byproduct, intentional or not, is a population whose behavior is increasingly shaped by systems designed to know it in advance. So what do you do with that? You could go dark. Delete the apps, throw out the phone, disappear into analog life. For some people, that's a real and reasonable choice. But for most of us, that's not actually available. Not in a world where your job, your bank, your relationships all run through these same rails. The more realistic answer is smaller and less satisfying, and probably more useful. It's noticing. Noticing when a feed feels a little too tailored to your mood. Noticing when a purchase feels less like a decision and more like an inevitability you arrived at without quite choosing. Noticing the gap between what you intended to do when you opened an app and what you actually did 45 minutes later. That gap is the tell. That's the space where prediction turned into influence, where tracking turned into something closer to steering. Because maybe the real question was never what big tech knows about you. Maybe it's how much of what you think of as your own mind was actually engineered somewhere else, tested on someone else, and deployed on you at exactly the right moment to feel like it was your idea all along. And if that's true, the most valuable thing you can protect isn't your data. It's your next decision. If this kind of question, what's really running underneath the systems we take for granted, is the kind of thing you want to keep exploring, that's exactly what this channel is for. Subscribe to the Universal Explorer, because the next rabbit hole is already waiting. And if one part of this pulled at you more than the rest, drop it in the comments. I read every one, and some of the best videos on this channel started as a comment on the last one.